Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show All Things Moore County. Dorothy, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bill.
We are in full swing,
Yes.
and we started off our Thanksgiving week last week with those very talented young ladies who are, as we speak, they just finished their opening production of the Nutcracker.
Yes.
And they were impressive, were they not?
Oh, they were very impressive.
Yeah. They have a 2 o'clock show this afternoon and a 2 o'clock show tomorrow, where they're winding up their the kickoff to the Christmas season.
No better kickoff than the Nutcracker.
Yeah, and as much as I enjoyed taping with them, they're bright-eyed, they're smart, they're proactive. It really goes to show you what nurturing families, nurturing parents, nurturing organizations can do in the development of some of our most talented young students in Moore County. And it was a celebration of sorts.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little bit of a different bent today, and I have 3 guests that have all been on the show before who I have a lot of respect for. We're going to have a conversation a little bit about the season for giving, and we're going to be speaking today with Barrett Walker, who is the Executive Director of the Sandhills Moore Coalition for Human Care. Barrett has been, I think, with the organization for 8 or 9 years, you were saying? 8 years. And is recognized in Moore County as really one of the top executives leading that agency. And we're going to be speaking, I guess, about the other half or the other side of what happens in Moore County. We're also going to be speaking with Myron Dice, who is the chairperson for Christmas for Moore, who has been on before. Myron has been, I guess, an advocate, an activist, Myron. And we're also going to be speaking with Dr. Paul Murphy, who has been on the show a couple of times before, and is going to be speaking about the Trinity Outreach Center, his musical family, his ensemble, and the 4 of us really are going to try to focus on some of the things at Christmas for those who maybe don't have as much as those who do. And I was speaking with Barrett before the show, and Paul, you weren't here, and Myron, you weren't here, but I remember as a kid coming home from school in college, and I would come home and visit my parents at Christmas, and my mom would be sitting in the den, and she'd be watching PBS, or she'd be watching some news show, and she didn't look happy. And I said, Mom, what's up? What's the problem? She was slowing me up. I was so wrapped up into myself. And whenever she would see people who didn't have as much as we did, it would get her down. So she had this, I thought it was this negative bent about the world, like, you've got to lighten up. But the older that I get, the more I'm like her. The more I see not what we have, but what other people don't have. And she's not around where she could even recognize. I see that now, but it's a different way to look at Christmas. Every year we have more and more people in Moore County who have needs. Paul, you are involved with the Trinity Outreach Center. You're trying to provide a venue for children. So you're kind of aware of what I'm trying to poke around and talk about a little bit.
Yes, we have, fortunately, quite a few children who are just incredible gifts in and of themselves. And they may have particular challenges, but they are there in, as you said earlier, the nurturing environment.
Right.
It was the church's vision to actually use that building, for such a space to have that kind of interaction with children, after school programs, and as a result of the collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club, and specifically in that space, we're now able to do that. And the most incredible gift is for those children, or to witness those children discover their gifts. They're in an environment where if they sing well, there's a choir, they're
right.
dancing, they have that opportunity. Even the dramatic arts, they're writing plays, conducting Mozart and Stravinsky. I mean, all kinds of things are happening there, and it's just a joy to see, especially this time of year, knowing that many of the gifts that we may not always observe visibly
right.
are very present spiritually.
There are so many organizations in Moore County that they kind of fly under the radar, but they sort of come to the forefront at the Christmas season, even though it's not just a 6 or 8 week period. It's planning all year to create situations for those who don't have as much as your organization, Christmas for More, can attest to.
Yes, Christmas for More is carrying on what used to be empty stocking.
Right.
And it is a season when more people will give. And when we have more people giving, we certainly have lots of needs.
Yeah.
I experience what you experience.
Mm-hmm.
Every year.
It's a melancholy in a way.
Yes, because I see the needs around me.
Yep.
And we're putting Band-Aids on, very frankly.
Right.
But those Band-Aids are important because there isn't a safety net. Our safety net's broken in this country.
Yeah. One of the Barrett, it's a small little network we live in. So Myron reached out to us, and we went ahead and, I guess, adopted a family. Mm-hmm. And instead of going shopping for the family, it was a single mom with 3 daughters from ages, I think, 6 months to 10 years old. She is working as a hair cutter. She's had the job for 2 months, and we went over and we gave her a gift card. And I mentioned this to John Tampa, and he said, and this is where it's such a small world, he said, "Who was it? Because I probably know who she is." Well, I mentioned the name, and he said, "Oh, sure." She had been into the coalition and was a very responsible young lady trying to make a better way for her children. But many of these people that Myron gets involved with have started through your agency 12 months a year, not just at Christmas time.
Well, and I think, Moore County is a small community, and, there are lots of wonderful organizations, and thankfully we each kind of fill a different niche.
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of those wonderful kids that Paul sees at Trinity, we see their parents throughout the year at the coalition. I know that Christmas for More, a lot of those families that they're providing Christmas for, the coalition's helping them get in an apartment or pay their utility bill. And it really is a network to hopefully help them get through a difficult time or get through the holidays and make it a little bit brighter for those children that otherwise might not have that.
I always wish, there's so many good agencies in Moore County that are always speaking about the things that they can offer, but to get people to contribute and to give at this time of the year, it's not just, we get inundated sometimes with too much information, and people think, well, if there's an agency raising money, they can just make one check. But there are some very specific things that people can do this time of the year, and if they can separate themselves from $200 over and above everything else that they've done, it doesn't change how many meals we eat a day. It doesn't change our lifestyle. It doesn't change anything that we do. But how to make people more aware of the different places that they can go to contribute, even if it's not just specifically for Christmas, but something to help each person's agency along as the year goes on.
Well, you took the step as a sponsor that I see as very significant, and that is the interaction with the person requesting the need. And
right.
we need a lot more interaction within our community to understand that all of us have the same basic needs. We have the need for empowerment so that we can dream our own dreams.
Yeah.
And for those that have less, many times their dreams are blocked because they don't have the resources.
The individual connection with somebody, if you are going to give a gift, anybody, as opposed to just writing a check and mailing it in anonymously, if you see a connection with a person, it does register, doesn't it?
Yes.
I remember many years ago, a good friend of mine, his daughter she was a third grader. Do you remember when we delivered some gifts? It was Laura, and she went with me. And, she was this blonde, pretty girl, and we went and we delivered gifts to this family that lived in a place that she had never seen before. And you think, well, maybe that leaves an impression with her. She was a third grader, fourth grader. But there's not enough of that direct interaction, is there?
No.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. But, Barrett, you see it every day. You see families come in, and I've been to the coalition, and I've observed, and anyone who wants to give, they need to come over and see what goes on a daily basis.
Well, and I think any organization, if you're going to support it, to do so responsibly, you really want to take the time to go and see it firsthand. And, personal interactions are where you're really going to make the difference with someone who's struggling, even if it's just supporting them or listening to them, giving them a sounding board. I think a lot of people don't realize the wonderful things that go on in this community. To come see it firsthand, whether it's at the coalition or one of the other organizations, it is absolutely incredible and empowering to see how many people in this community truly care about those who are struggling.
Yeah. And at the coalition, just a little bit of a background, you help people with their utility bills. You have a retail shop.
We do.
It's really a soup to nuts assistance agency, isn't it?
It is. We do transportation. We do employment counseling. A lot of our goal is to get them to a sustainable point in their lives where they're able to provide for their family themselves. And although we do provide food and clothes and electric or rent assistance, the goal really is to help them get a job or reduce their expenses so that hopefully going forward they will be much more self-sustained and not need our help.
Our culture today, some people will say that's all well and good, but you are also empowering people to take advantage of giveaways. And are you really helping them self-sustain and then create their own ability to self-generate, which is it's a sad discourse, but it's true. But you do have to watch out for that, but you also have radar screens up all over the place for that.
We do, and I get that question a lot. I think that people would really be surprised at the very small percentage of families who try and take advantage. I just don't think it is as commonplace as people expect.
Right.
I like the expression, too. We expect people to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, but what if they don't have any boots?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes some basic sustenance to be able to make that climb.
Yeah. We talked, Paul, are you familiar with the book Barrett spoke about generational poverty.
Ruby Payne.
Ruby
Understanding
Payne.
poverty.
I actually did a workshop with Ruby Payne a few years ago. Yeah.
Did you really?
On understanding poverty. Yeah. And she definitely has that very tangible insight as having worked with people, understanding the psyche of those who feel that they don't have a voice, that
Right.
that they really don't matter.
Right.
And so her suggestions towards helping, in many instances, are directed towards those of us who are actively helping to make sure that we don't patronize those who are in need. And I like what you just mentioned, or at least that uncomfortable discourse about those, who, quote unquote, would take advantage of the system.
Yeah.
Because that's really, and I guess I'm sharing now somewhat theologically, inasmuch as the baby Jesus is born into the nighttime. There is the context of darkness. There's a context of everything that is lacking, and here the light of the world enters in. So that basic Christmas message sends the powerful message that we all have an opportunity to reflect that in our gestures of giving. So rather than thinking in terms of who may not deserve or who may or may not request, we all have an opportunity, especially in this time of year, to be very generous and to say Merry Christmas through our gestures.
Right.
Amen.
Right. The powerlessness of people who have this generational poverty, even in the delivery of the gift to the one lady, I had this feeling. I said, wow. I said, it's going to be so hard for her to spin out of where she is and to change things around. And one person can only do so much, but you see a pattern that she's in a cycle, and that's a downward cycle that is going to require a ton of changes or reorientation on her part to change her children's reality. I walked away. I was delighted for the contact, but I also was a little, I was melancholy and
overwhelmed.
Yeah, completely. Because we get so wrapped up in our own worlds, and we think, oh my gosh, we have all these issues going on and all these problems. We don't have those problems, and you can step into someone else's world a little bit. I wish there was more of that in our area. As much as we have great agencies and we have great spokespeople, but hopefully today we can maybe create some sort of an awareness, a better awareness, with another month to go in the Christmas season. We're going to come back in the second set, just talking all about the season of giving and the culture of Moore County and what the true meaning of the holidays and Christmas means. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to the talk show, All Things Moore County. We're talking about the Christmas season. We're talking about the season for giving with Barrett Walker from the Coalition, the Reverend Dr. Paul Murphy, and Myron Dice. And in the break, we were talking, Myron, about some of the harrowing statistics and some of the numbers that you can easily quantify. Where we talk about people who need a step up and a hand up as opposed to a hand out, right?
Yes.
Which is the habitat. But that's so true in so many communities in the country. But we're focusing on Moore County. But some of your statistics.
I think it's important to take that look at Moore County because we're known as a rich county.
Yeah.
But 25% of our children in Moore County live in poverty and are food insecure, not knowing where their next meal is coming from. 43% of our school-aged children qualify for free or reduced price lunches, and that's a public school statistic. 40% of the renters in Moore County are paying over 30% of their income for housing, and 30% is considered the level that's sustainable, because many of those with less pay 50% of their income for housing, and then they don't have resources for other needed things in budget.
Right.
And then the other piece that much of our poverty is rural in Moore County, and the average time for persons in Moore County to get to work is 24 minutes. Department of Commerce collects that statistic. 24 minutes to get to work.
Yeah, right? I didn't know.
And that's significant as a rural county. Many of our people have significant transportation costs just to work.
Mm-hmm. I think, Barrett, you were actually working with somebody dealing with just that situation, somebody who has a truck, a single mom, commuting from another area out on the outskirts of Moore County into the hub of Moore County, but trying to help that particular family with their budgeting and how to cut costs. And one of the things was to move inside the circle. I don't think that people realize that in the coalition you do a lot of budget counseling in addition to job counseling.
We do budget counseling. We actually, the individual that you're speaking with is in our mentoring program, and you talked about the family that you adopt and those difficult choices and really struggling with breaking the cycle. And that's, when Paul was talking about the Ruby Payne's book, it goes back to relationships and really mentoring and counseling and trying to help them understand some difficult decisions that have to be made. And Moore County is very large. Transportation is a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we see it every single day, and there are no easy choices. Our clients, all that we all serve, have to make difficult decisions every day, how to stretch that dollar and what they might or not be able to provide for their children. So I think it is very difficult, if not impossible, for most people who are listening to imagine what they have to decide.
How do you deal with it on a daily basis when you go home?
That's pretty hard some days.
I
And
bet.
my kids will tell you that I think they have a whole new perspective. I take a lot of it home, and I talk a lot with my kids about, I see the kids on their football team. I see the kids that they go to school with. And I think, most people don't realize, you think of them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not them. It's the people that you see every day. It's the lady who checks you out at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you look at it that way, and particularly this time of year, just to try and make a little difference and bring a little smile or lighten the load a little bit, can mean the world of difference in someone's day or life.
Yeah. Paul, you touch a lot of people directly. You have a lot of direct contact with a lot of families, and you know the value of making it personal as opposed to anonymous, where you can make a difference. And I guess I'm referencing the outreach, the Trinity Church Center that you have developed.
Yes, we've been blessed, as said earlier, not only to work directly with the families, the children, the Boys and Girls Club, but also the Literacy Council. And in particular, there's a program, up-and-coming program, actually it's kind of started now, the Mother Read program, where mothers who may be English second language mothers, but they'll be helped in reading, just developing that relationship with the children, just reading. So you have the literacy that's being reinforced, as well as the love of reading passed down, and a couple other literacy-based ministries that are taking place. And so, and then I forgot to mention the relationship with the Junior Carolina Philharmonic Orchestra. To see, 30-plus children in a string orchestra with their violins, violas, and cellos, and learning their Christmas songs, and that's kind of overwhelming, especially in that space. And it's such an acoustical environment that's so conducive to wonderful music. And,
You mentioned the Boys and Girls Club, and can you talk a little bit about the relationship? There's a story, I think, at this table, is there not, about how Trinity and the Boys and Girls Club sort of hooked up in a way that you might not have expected a year ago?
Right. Actually, I'm on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, and it never really occurred to me. I was thinking, well, maybe we'll just kind of see, what opportunities are there to help children.
Right.
And Myron actually called one morning and asked if there was an interaction with the Boys and Girls Club, and I said, well, no, not really, but I'll call Caroline. And so Caroline and I got into the conversation, and she brought it, before the board, and they voted unanimously to establish this type of relationship. Since then, the vibrancy there in the Community Outreach Center, I think, has spilled over into the actual church congregation. People have just been, I think last time Dr. Judy Cronin was with us.
She was.
Yeah, and she has just spearheaded a lot there.
She's a catalyst, isn't she?
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
And the physical place, the space, has just kind of moved up to where we have the cabinets in place, the stoneware, just things that really make it not only functional, but quite inviting for all others. And I think most recently, Myron had a group of friends, carpenters, who went into one of the closets. And I was going into the closet to just take the mop to kind of, mop the floor. And I looked and saw all these shelves in there that just kind of happened overnight. So
yeah. The Boys and Girls Club serves a very important need in Moore County, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Can you talk a little bit about it for people who might not know?
Well, they have a program really year-round, and summertime I visited a number of times this summer, a very heavy program for children and youth with transportation provided. Then in the school year, it's after school, and that's what Paul hooked into because the Boys and Girls Club had 150 kids that were registered that they couldn't serve because they were busted at the seams in their standard facility. So that after-school program becomes so important for recreation, for education, interaction.
And they're a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
They rely on donations from citizens of Moore County. I mean, that's one agency. There are different agencies that people can earmark if they want to donate, make a contribution. The coalition, for sure. And you speak to a lot of different agencies, and you know, Barrett, where the monies need to go. And you're not shy about, and you shouldn't be, you're not shy about speaking about the viability of the agency and why the work is so important. But, I mean, I'll be shameless and just say, so if people want to make a contribution this Christmas to the coalition, it carries on the work not just at Christmas but all throughout the year.
And I think that's a very important part. You know, a lot of people think about giving at Thanksgiving and at Christmas.
Right.
And we do see an uptick this time of year of, you know, whether in-kind donations or monetary donations. But all of our programs run all year long. So we certainly would love to have your donation in November or December, but we'd love to have your donation. Myron talked about summertime. Mm-hmm. Summer is very difficult for many families.
Yeah.
Their kids are not getting breakfast and lunch at school. So there's lots of different ways to donate. And I would encourage people to find a cause that really speaks to them, and that could be the coalition.
Yeah.
We have a website that has a donation button. Love to have people come by and visit and see things firsthand. Mm-hmm. But all of our organizations are made possible through donations and volunteers. So if you're not able to give a monetary donation, giving of your time is certainly equally as important, if not more so.
See how smooth she is. See how gentle she is and how genuine she is. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why she's one of the top executives in Moore County. The website is www.sandhillscoalition.org.
That's it.
And they can go to the site if they want to, and there is a place to donate.
There is, and lots of information to learn more as well.
Okay. Well, let's come back in the third set, just speaking about the season of giving in Moore County with three very distinguished guests who care about the welfare of all. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our final set of All Things Moore County, and it's great to be able to spend this Thanksgiving weekend with these three guests, Barrett Walker, Dr. Paul Murphy, and Myron Dice. As usual, we have conversations in between the breaks, and we're touching on so many things about the rental market, housing expenses, marital status of a lot of people, a lot of the challenges that they have. And it seems like every year at Christmas there's a surge of, either altruism or people have an awareness that doesn't surface in August or June or April. But we're trying to make this more of a 12-month-a-year thing. But there are a lot of challenges that people have, and the way our systems are set up, it makes it very challenging for people to rise above the obstacles put in front of them. And I'm looking at you, Myron, as I'm speaking.
The very basics.
Yeah.
Affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable daycare. It takes year-round efforts to make improvements so that people have the opportunity to rise above their present status.
Yeah. Is our system rigged?
Yes, it's rigged.
Yeah.
Because the people who have power have money.
Yeah.
And the for-profit groups that benefit, in fact, often exploit the poor, have the power to see that they get what they want. And the poor remain powerless.
Yeah. And social media has taken a very important role in making people aware of a lot of things. And there are a lot of positives to it, but there are also a lot of negatives because there's an anonymity with social media posting where you have different culture divides where people can just express an opinion and not have to worry about any aftermath. What goes on in Moore County is reflective of also what goes on across the country as well.
Certainly.
Right?
Certainly.
Challenges, huh? But we rise above it. Everything has to be done on a local level, and everything has to be done eyeball to eyeball. Barrett, you do that probably more than anybody, and you see it. You live it every day. And I do. I would encourage anybody who is familiar with the good work that the coalition does to come and visit. I mean, you can set up. People need to come in and just set up tours. Bring their kids. Let the children see what goes on.
Absolutely. And I think, we started out the show, you were talking about your melancholy this time of year.
My mother, I had to shake her up.
Yeah. And I think it is easy to become a little depressed or a little melancholy. And I think it's important to note how many wonderful organizations there are in this community.
Right.
Christmas for More is going to be providing holiday toys and gifts for, I don't know how many families this year, but lots of them.
440.
The coalition will be making sure everybody's warm and toasty and has food to eat.
Right.
And Trinity will continue to do their wonderful music events and providing guidance and leadership for those kids after school. So I think it's important to focus on the positive and the difference that you can make in someone's life, whatever your status is. We have a lot of clients that give back this time of year that we've helped another year or earlier in the year, and they come in and say, I wanted to bring these blankets or bring this bag of food. And you don't have to be a have to give back. So I think the wonderful things that happen in this community are the things to focus on, and hopefully that'll help your melancholy.
There you go. There you go. You mentioned the music and giving back at Trinity, but Paul, you have a musical event coming up, I think, on the 10th of December.
Yes, the family. One of the greatest gifts I've been able to experience is being a part of a family of incredible musicians.
Right.
We'll be doing a concert on the 10th at 3 o'clock at the Sunrise Theater, and I believe this might be the 4th or 5th year in a row that they've asked us to come. And, of course, we look forward to making a contribution to the Trinity Community Outreach Center, given I was just kind of thinking of the other ministries. I mean, they have the Wednesday feedings at Trinity, the work with the Camp Duncan girls, the Chrysalis program, the list goes on. I'm kind of overwhelmed when really thinking about the many ways. I know we've done some habitat building. So to think that I am so privileged to serve a church that's so intensely and intentionally involved in giving and helping.
Right.
I will just do whatever I can do to help the church be who it is we're called to be.
Is the event that you're doing on the 10th, is that a Trinity function? Is it sponsored by somebody else?
No, it's actually Sunrise. I think we started off, initially to help the Sunrise raise funds for the roof at one point and something else. But over the years, our daughter Anna, who's an actor down in the Atlanta area, she'll be coming in to do some singing. Our two sons, who are record producers, Kent and Drake, they'll be present to share, and they'll do some arranging. The youngest son, who's a senior at Pinecrest now, Green, will be sharing some vocal renditions. I'm not sure what yet. We have a rehearsal coming up when everyone comes into town for Thanksgiving. And, of course, Sharon, who is sixth grade teacher over at Southern Middle School, she will also be singing some beautiful Christmas carols. And Sharon and I will also be on the 7th at the Pinehurst Fair Barn with the Literacy Council's Christmas program. So amongst others in the ecumenical setting. So.
The underbelly of mentoring is so important to all the children, and giving them an opportunity to witness and to see the things that they can do, that they can become. Even the Nutcracker that we talked about last week.
That's right.
You get parents to bring their kids for the first time to see the wonderment of what the holiday season can be. And these kids, their eyeballs will just like drop out of their sockets, and they go, "Oh my gosh, the magic!" Because there is a magic in everybody, regardless of whatever their status is in life. They want an opportunity. They deserve an opportunity to at least see it.
Oh yes,
right.
And that's one of the reasons we also would invite any and everyone to come.
Yeah.
To stop through any time especially between 2:30 and 5:30. That's kind of when the bulk of the work is done there with the Boys and Girls Club,
right.
to just really get a sense of the world of discovery,
right.
that's being and that's unfolding in front of the children, and their eager participation.
There's a cute little thing on Facebook. There was a picture of a mother wheeling a 1 or 1.5-year-old boy down the Christmas aisle in the store for the first time, and the boy's cheeks were shuddering. He was so excited. He was looking up, and that wonderment of magic and the magic of Christmas got captured. It was just so cute. That's one of the things that social media can do.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about this time of the year for all the kids, because kids don't know how much they have or they don't have. They have no clue. They learn as they get older, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a slow process. But everybody starts at an equal footing. How many in your family? You have 4?
4 children.
4 children.
6 of us.
All musically involved completely.
Yes.
You should be so proud.
I am. Our nephew Gary Brown will also be, and he's a phenomenal pianist. He plays every morning, I believe, except Mondays at the Pinehurst Resort. He'll be playing drums with us and some piano. Dr. Larry Arnold from down at Bethesda and also UNC Pembroke. He'll be playing bass, and we're just looking forward to this annual get-together.
Yeah,
you always have a great concert.
Thank you.
Are there volunteer opportunities? Either Barrett, I guess, with the coalition, people to get involved. With Trinity, with Christmas for More, where people get involved, because it's a 12-month-a-year thing, where you're trying to get people more directly involved than just at Christmas. Yes.
The coalition always needs volunteers,
right.
And we have lots of different positions and time commitments. So I would definitely encourage people to give us a call, come take a tour, see if it's something that interests you.
Yeah.
But we could not do it without our volunteers. They're awesome.
One of the things I need to talk about, because I don't think people realize the job counseling services that you offer at the coalition are exceptional. You have a database. People who are looking for jobs who might be having a hard time, they can come and see you.
They can. During client service hours, normally at least 3 or 4 days a week, we have a job counselor on site. On Fridays, we have a representative from the Employment Security Commission. Sorry, Gary, Division of Workforce Solutions. They changed their name. I have to keep up. So, yeah, they can come in. They'll help them write resumes, find available jobs, complete online job applications, whatever type of employment assistance they might need.
Yeah, and that, what you just said, is worth a lot of money. And that's a lot of value to somebody who is coming in trying to find a way. There's no charge for these services.
Yeah, and that's step number 1 is always to get them employed and get them better employed, or depending on their circumstances. That's always our number 1 priority.
Yeah, because jobs are a big issue in Moore County, and not enough jobs. And yet you have a litany of great employers who are out there who work with you at the coalition all the time, where they'll feed you and say, "Hey, we have this, we have that." So you've developed all these relationships over the years.
Absolutely.
Probably the most expedient way for somebody to get from here to there, through the coalition.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that Myron's mentioned a lot of the challenges that low-income families face, and obviously employment is one of them. But finding a job is the number 1.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the first step,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
I wish we could dream a little about employment and find a way to provide incentives to small businesses to train people for jobs that are needed, but the workforce isn't ready for it, or the employer isn't ready to do it. But I think we're going to have to be creative at the local level to expand those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And the spirit of volunteerism at the Trinity Outreach Center would be a great way in 2018 for people to expose themselves to things that they might not otherwise see firsthand, but maybe just hear about on social media, getting involved with some of the kids.
Most definitely.
Right.
In fact, working with Leskeisha Sandridge, she's over the program for the Boys and Girls Club there at the Trinity site.
Okay.
She's always aware of where the needs are, in which areas, when the readers are needed, those helping with homework, and so that's a great opportunity as well.
Yeah. And Myron, you even though your work is pretty much done for Christmas this year, even though we're still a few weeks away, you have over 400 families that your agency has been able to help this year.
That's correct. And there's opportunities, particularly from an administrative side of doing planning and development work to help more sponsors be involved. That comes into the kind of year-round work.
Yeah. We always say that Moore County is a great place to live. It's been one of the basic tenets of the show since we started it about 9 years ago, and I believe that, and I think as much as we can make more people aware of some of the work that you all do in some of the agencies, we can make the community more interactive, more directly interactive. And this is a time of the year that we try to, I guess, pay special attention to it and wish it was a 12-month-a-year exercise. But all we can do is keep trying, right?
That's right.
That's right.
I want to thank you guys all for coming in and spending some time talking with us about this Christmas season. Myron Dice, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Anytime. Dr. Murphy, it's always good to see you.
Oh, you as well.
And December 10th is your event. That's a Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Sunday at 3.
At the Sunrise Theater. And people can go on Facebook and read about it and make a mark for Christmas by showing up, right?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah. And Barrett, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Bill.
And we'll hope to see you down the road because your work never ends. It's 12 months a year.
Always.
Want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and make this a special season for yourselves and for everyone around you. This is All Things Moore County. Thank you.